Okay, we're going to start the program, you guys. Welcome to the California Surf Museum. My name is Jim Kempton. I'm the executive director here, and I would like to just welcome all of you here. We have a really great show tonight. Quick question: how many of you are members here at the California Surf Museum? Okay, so we have a lot of new people here tonight. If you like what you see tonight, we have these kind of programs at least once a month throughout the year, sometimes more often during the summer. And if you like it, consider becoming a member of the museum. You'll be on the email list to get all the copy about whatever's going on. You'll know what's there. Oftentimes, it's free to members, and it'll be a cost to other people. So we have book signings. We have premiere movies. We have people coming and just speaking. All kinds of activities here. We call them Big Wednesdays because we hold them on Wednesday, and it's a fun thing to call them. But if you do like it, consider becoming a member here. We really appreciate all the support that we get from everybody, and we really want to welcome you all here tonight. This is a very special program for me in that Joey and I met so many years ago. It was, I tell people when they ask me how old I am that when that meteor hit that killed the dinosaurs, it was right before that. And if I miss anything here tonight, I just want to tell you all, I have trouble with my short-term memory, but I also have trouble with my short-term memory. So, bear with me, okay? So Joey, they asked me when they had the television on, the TV on just a few minutes ago, what is it about Joey? And what I guess I would say about that is that they called him the California Kid for a reason, and that was that he was kind of the embodiment of what California surfing was all about in his era. The blonde kid with the big grin and coming over to face the icons and the legends and winning a contest that is probably the most iconic contest in the world, and that sent him into the history books. But that was hardly the end of his career. It was really just the beginning. And he has done so many things in so many different areas that I think also you're going to see a real mix of people here, people who have known him from all different walks of life and all different eras of his life. And his biography that he's going to talk about tonight. So let's give a really big warm welcome to Joey Buran.
All right, thank you, Jim. So good to be here with you guys. You just never know really what to expect at an event like this. But the cool thing is I came down last week for a book signing, the book that There's No Waves in New Jersey, which is really cool because I've been in New Jersey, and Peter Townend, my coach, was here, and Bob Mignona, who used to be the publisher of Surfing Magazine. So okay, it was like a wedding rehearsal, like the week before. I get a feel for what to expect, the layout, and it's good to be back here tonight. And just greeting everyone out front as you're coming in. My sister-in-law and her boyfriend are here. My former coach of U.S. Surf Team, the manager, Greg Cruz, is here. My assistant coach, Brandon Phillips, is here, who's also served as assistant pastor. Mike Cannon, who I served with in Carlsbad and junior high, is here. Of course, David Barr, Jim Palmer, Joe James are all legendary with the connection in the Carlsbad crew. Mike Dennis, you guys, Tony Mata, it's amazing. And then Angie from Germany, who's been coming to church for years. Joanne Burns, who's believed in me for over a decade. Anyone lets me be their pastor for more than a decade, they deserve a plaque or something. So thank you, Joanne Burns, for believing in me for over a decade. And, it's great to be here. And my buddy with the Giants hat on, who knows my sister, asking about Barbie, worked with Barbie at Camp Pendleton when she did Semper Fi. Many of you know my sister was homeless for 6 years, turned her life around. She's been sober for 7. She's thriving in Vero Beach, Florida. So I see someone like that, and there's just such a connection, Martha and Megan, the Oceanside twins, and, back to when I was in Virginia Beach and pastoring there, and there's just so many connections. So thank you for coming out and being here, because, again, it truly is a mosaic of growing up in Carlsbad, my surf career, my life beyond the dream in ministry. Sometimes those things crossed over, and sometimes they're just unique and distinct for what they are. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Surf Museum, Jim Kempton. Thank you so much, Tara, everybody, for opening the place up to me. This is a great premiere for the book. We gave it a lot of thought. We considered a Carlsbad venue with Ken Keeble, Mike Sarayan as we were planning this event. with Robert Yaling involved as well. We considered things, and I just felt all along that the Surf Museum, I remember coming here for the Takayama display, and I brought my board down from Brazil. I remember being here for the lightning bolt, the pipeline display with Rory Russell and Joey Lopez here. And I thought, it just seems right to kick off the book here at the Oceanside Surf Museum. So it's a wonderful place. Every time I come here, I just start walking around and I lose track of time. And so again, thank you so much, all the staff, for allowing me and us to be here. I want to thank Ken Keebo and Mike Sorian, and they've done so much work. Many of you know Ken Keebo. We grew up with Ken Keebo. He's that other guy that hung out with all of us back in the 70s at Valley Junior High and Carlsbad High. He was a little bit older than us. I remember convincing him to let me use his Super 8 camera to do a surf video. And I did like 20 minutes of surf footage of me and David Barr. And I showed it at Pod D at Valley Junior High. And everyone, it was like, how long does this go on for? I'm like, as long as it needs to, man. I was so stoked. But, but the crazy thing about that is that's the class where the teacher told me, I said, I'm going to be a pro surfer. And she said, you'll never be a pro surfer. She said, you'll never get paid for surfing. 1975, there was no tour. And she had all the history behind her to back that up. But of course, we now know that, sometimes, even a fool's considered wise when they hold their peace. So, but I always remember that because I used Ken Keebo's camera, did the surf movie, and she said, you'll never be a pro surfer. It's one of those memories. But that didn't stop David Barr and I and the rest of the crew that came out of that, and those that came after us, like Taylor and these other guys, the Struthers brothers that came out of Carlsbad. So super grateful for that, and that Ken would be a part of this. Many of you know he's won a couple Emmy Awards. Mike Sorian, phenomenal videographer. So we're doing live stream, and we'll be able to use this for media nationwide and even internationally. So I'm so grateful. They've done above and beyond what you could ever ask for. And on that note, of course, I want to acknowledge Robert Yaling, Bob Yaling. Many of you grew up with Bob Yaling. He's Carlsbad High, class of 77, I believe, or 76. He was always the upperclassman. He was my brother's class. This was when Carlsbad was 16,000 people, and our sports team played in the Avocado League against Oceanside, San Diego, Torrey Pines, Oceanside High Pirates, Vista Panthers. It was a long time ago. There was never traffic on the 5, and there definitely wasn't traffic on the 805 when you went to Jack Murphy Stadium, right? Such a long time ago. And these guys have all worked together, but Robert Yaling, when I was working on the book, there's a bit of background. He's very crucial to the book. And he is in palliative care right now. He has terminal cancer. And he covered my career at the Blade Tribune back in 1977, 78. DB and I were like his feature guys, along with Randy Lane, all the time. He covered Dan Fouts and Tony Gwynn at the same time. He was a beat writer in his early 20s. He wrote 25 books for a number of key people, Clay Marzo, Julie Moss, these other people. And when I met with Ken Keebo about 2 years ago, I've been working on my book. And we met for lunch in Carlsbad. He said, Joey, you should really consider getting Robert Yaling involved with your book. And I was like, yeah, I should. And, at that point, I'm just trying to write the book. So I'm like, well, let's get the book out, my thoughts out, and then we'll consider it. So I got the book done. My wife was in Florida in November, almost 2 years ago, visiting the grandkids. I was home alone, talking to the dogs, which is what you do when you're almost 60 and you're home alone. So, Fitz, should I write the book? Sure. Can I have some turkey burger? Sure, here's turkey burger. Let's write the book. And I watched YouTubes about how to write a book. And you know what it came down to? Start writing. Just start writing. And I got my laptop and I began to write. And when I was done, it was 140 pages. And when you get to chapter 2 of God and Country, my mom and dad, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1961. That's where I began when I started the book. We made it better, but that's how I began. So I wrote the book over about 2 weeks. I kept adding to it and then refining it. And after about almost a year, I felt like I'd hit a wall. So I approached an editor from Calvary Publishing, their main editor, and I said, what do you think of the book? And she said, Joey, the book's, it's good, it's okay, but if you want to be like elite, you got to bring in some people that just have a higher skill level than you. And when you get older, you realize you want to surround yourself with people that have a higher skill level than you, right? Don't you want your mechanic to have a higher skill level than you? Right? Yeah. Your realtor, your kids that do your computer stuff. Man, I get a problem on my phone or computer. I just get my son-in-law. He fixes it in 30 seconds. I'm looking at the YouTube video for 2 hours. And I'm not even past point 1 trying to fix it. So you get people that are more skillful than you. You're the sum total of the 5 people you associate with. And if you can associate with people that have skills above you, they'll help you. Henry Ford had almost no education, but he surrounded himself with really smart people. And I've done that. And I realized this is good counsel. And I sat on that for about a month. And I woke up one morning, I felt like God put in my heart, call Robert Yaling. So I called Robert Yaling, hadn't talked to him for years. I said, hey, Bob. He goes, yeah, I know you're doing a book. You know, like, yeah, and you're a writer. I got a book. What do you think? We're Carlsbad. We're Lancers. What do you think? And he goes, I'd love to do the book. But Joey, there's one thing you got to know. I'm like, what's that? He goes, I'm dying. That's literally what he said. I go, and classic Joey Buran, I go, well, then we better get started. He's like, all right, I got it now. Yeah, that's classic Joey Buran, right? Like we're gonna run through a wall with Joey Buran. I got David Barr to hitchhike across South Africa with me. Let's just go, man. In the summer, bro. It sounded like a good idea when we began, So you'll see that in the forward from Robert Yaling. He talks about that. He was considered terminal and dying at that time, and he's got a total second purpose in life. And for the next 5 months, we did Zoom calls for a couple hours at a time. He's like, Joey, when he got the book, he's like, Joey, it's fantastic, 16 chapters. You've told the story. We just need to open up parts of the story. We need to take parts that sound like a press release and tell the story. We need to bring in the emotion you felt at that time. So him and Erin Jenkins, his associate, this Tennessee soccer mom, she's constantly like, now, can you explain the barrel to me again? So now when y'all were in Vermont, that must have been really hard. I'm like, you think? So she was great because she had no surfing background. She's a Kentucky soccer mom, and she peppered me for the book because it's a broader audience. So she was fantastic, her input on the book. By the grace of God, we finished the book in April. Bob helped me get the right publisher. Jennifer Geist has been amazing. When Bob's health failed, because he was my agent, we had already secured the deal with Jennifer Geist and Transformation Media Books. We had the right deal that we wanted. We all know for pro surfing, the right sponsorship is everything. The wrong sponsorship is everything. So, so we had the right publishing deal, the right people. And then when Bob's health faded, Jennifer Geist really stepped up and was 24/7 available, helped us finish the book. Susan Branch, who was the general manager for Roxy for years. She's a genius, all the store, brick and mortar, merchandising. She helped design the cover. She had all kinds of great editing input. But perhaps one of the crown jewels of the entire journey of this year with getting the book done was when I reached out to Hank Photo, who's originally from San Clemente. He's been on the North Shore for years. And I just randomly was Jeff Devine, Brian Bielman, Alan Krausko, anyone. Does anyone have photos of me winning the Pipe Masters? Because I had this vision at the cover was a shot from the pinnacle of my career and the pinnacle of the sport. And I didn't really have the photo. I just didn't have the photo, but I knew Hank Hawaii had a photo that Surfing Magazine ran in '84. So he sent me the photo. I tracked him down. He sent me the photo, and I go, hey, by chance, do you have any other photos from that day? And he sent me a large file, and I opened it up, and it was this photo. I was like, oh, Hail Mary, full of grace. Like, I was so pumped. I was like, we got our cover shot. That's Catholic humor, in case you don't know. So we got our cover shot, and there was a guy with a yellow jacket over here, and Susan Branch is like, he's got to go, right? So we got that out of there, and it's all that way. And you can see these names: Akalupo, Alan Byrne, Rabbit, Ronnie Burns, Jeff Crawford. It was Max Medeiros, Tom Carroll. So it was amazing. So that's the background to the book. We've launched it. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's through Transformation Media Books. It's also with Amazon. The immediate surge on the book. And here, of course, here at the museum, we'll have them tonight, and then we'll have some at the museum. I'm going to sign whatever books are left before I leave. But it was really cool because my friend sent me a notice on Monday like, hey, the book shipping's delayed. And I called the publishers and said, why is it delayed? Like, because there's too many orders. They can't meet the order. So I'm really excited. It's like, hey, I mean, I had a saying when I coached surf teams, USA, Chile, and Great Britain. I said, you learn more from losing than winning. But if you give me a choice, I'm going to always choose winning. Right, DB? Yeah. There's plenty of losing to learn from. I choose winning. So we can, you get it. So anyways, that's the background to the book. Chapter 10 is Day of Days. That's the story of December 17th, 1984. I know that David Barr was there that day. Was anyone else on the beach that day when I won the pipe? You were there, and PB was there. So 4 of you were there. It's a day that defined my life for the past and even the future. And Billy Stang was there. And it's also clear in my mind, but I tell people, I say it in the book, it's like Polaroid shots. We have a Polaroid photo. Polaroids look like time. It's like aged film in your filter. It just Polaroids. And in my mind, so much of that day is like Polaroid shots. It's Polaroid shots of like moments I remember. It's like I had a Polaroid camera. Like, there's Sean Thompson sitting out the back with John Dom. There's Marvin Foster right next to me, because this is where we sit when we serve pipe. And so that's the day. It's the longest chapter in the book. We considered making it 2 chapters. I mentioned earlier the book was 16 chapters when Robert Yaling got it. Then we added 2 chapters, so it's now 18. We created 2 new chapters. One is chapter 1, Paddle Out, because I was telling a story about coaching the U.S. team in 2007, and Nat Young and those guys get me to paddle out on the main peak and I almost got killed. And I was like, hey, Bob's like, that's a great story to look back from. I'm like, or never even remember. I mean, I was in the wrong spot at Chunky Pipe and not ready for it. So, but Bob's like, this is a great story because you're humiliated. I'm like, keep going. You're humiliated and you paddle past Nat and Chloe and those guys back to the shoulder. I'm like, yeah, where's the good part? And so I paddled past them and I paddled all the way to the shoulder of the inside pipeline, caught a little wave, went straight and went in. And then at dinner, they all made fun of me, but actually we laughed about it because you never make fun of anyone for backing down at pipeline. You understand? You can have a laugh, like everyone's like, ha, 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 but that's bad juju in the surf world, right? Like, because things happen at pipeline, and you can joke about it a little bit, but Nat and Chloe and those guys, Luke Davis, we were laughing about it, but they're like, no, dude, it's pipeline, dude. You won the pipe. It's all good. You're 47. What can we expect? So that chapter was added to set the stage for the whole story, going back to Cleveland in 1961. And then we added a chapter called The Wild West, because Robert Yaling always had this vision to talk about where surfing went from a $1 million sport to a $1 billion sport in a 4-year period. And he was a part of it with Dynacom and all those people. Many of you rode that wave, Breakout Magazine. It went from basically 1 million with Jerry Lopez and Lightning Bolt to 1 billion with the ASR shows by 1986. And the whole 80s music, K-Rock, 91X. And Bob had the vision for it. And so we took my life during that time as a California kid and how I was the highest paid American at that time. And we told that story. So it's got some surf history of how it all happened. Bob Hurley, when he read that chapter, said, Joey, this is incredible. Like, Bob Hurley loved the book. He's like, Joey, chapter 8, The Wild West, you nailed it. Because, of course, Bob Hurley was there with Billabong, and then in 99 started Hurley as well. So that's a panoramic of the book. But again, chapter 10, The Greatest of Days, is the middle of the book that sets the stage for the dream. And then beyond the dream, we have a 10-minute clip from my movie Beyond the Dream that was done in 2008. Brian Jennings and his crew from Walking on Water helped me produce it. You'll see David Barr in there, Billy Stang, Michael Ho. So we're going to show that clip because that's December 17th. That's how they saw the day. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Pipeline, the first 15 years of the Pipe Masters. Okay? So enjoy this 10-minute video clip, and I hope you like it.
The North Shore is notorious for going into periods of bad wind and bad weather. But in those days, it was simply hold out, wait 2 weeks, and within that 2-week period, pick the best possible day. What's really interesting in those days, there was no surf lines, there was nothing. It was called get up in the morning, we'll come out and look and see what the heck you had.
So we packed up our stuff, we went down to Pipe and checked it that morning, and it was just giant. It was out of control. And I'm just going, there's no way they're going to run this event today. It's just too dangerous, it's too big, it's too crazy.
So we waited for most of the waiting period and getting right down to the end of the wire on it. Finally, we got this west swell, good conditions. I remember the weather finally broke, and we had what I would recollect is one of the best pipeline swells I've ever surfed. It just went from bad to perfect.
Randy Eric, the contest director at the time, goes, it's on, boys. And everyone just kind of looked at each other like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, one of the interesting things about 1984 was it was just purely 24 of the best surfers in the world selected to come and compete in the Pipe Masters.
Beginning of that event, it was crazy. I don't think anybody was comfortable.
The waves are really big and dangerous today. I'm just concentrating on, getting a few really good rides and, playing it safe, because it's really shallow out there, you get really hurt.
The pipeline was 8 to 12 feet, board-breaking, bone-crushing, hardcore surfing, and the adrenaline was flowing.
In the early rounds of the 1984 Pipe Masters, it was big and it was treacherous, and I felt like this is probably my last chance. I need to pony up and deliver right here. This is it. This is the moment of truth in my life.
And after the shadows fading and the darkness follows, one more day has passed now, and I am going nowhere.
Joey was riding a single fin, which I think he was probably one of the only guys on a single fin. So he definitely had a different look about him. He was putting it all together, pulling into the biggest waves, getting the biggest barrels, and he just pretty much steamrolled him.
Everything just worked up to the most amazing final that I've probably ever seen.
When I made the finals in 1984, I was very nervous because I felt it was probably my last good chance to win the contest of my dreams.
The smallest mistake out there, and your heat's over. You curl on one single little wave, break your board, you have to swim to the beach, you're done.
One win at the Pipeline Masters for a surfer puts you in the history books forever.
It did clean up a bit, and it did get better, but by that final, there was second reef sets, and it was still big, dangerous pipe.
I had this sense of I've been here before. This isn't my first pipe final. I know the routine. I just need to deliver. I need to do what Mark Richards and Michael Hole and these guys have done before.
He was so steadfast in his mission that he wasn't going to let anything stop him.
You get through a couple rounds in any contest, your nerves get settled down, you get more comfortable. You get into that final, you can pretty much just let it all ride.
He started off the heat with a beautiful opening wave, nice big tube, spit out. Next wave was a smaller wave, but a beautiful inside funnel. And bingo, he had 2 waves under his belt that already secured him into the top 3.
You watch Joey surf that final. He had Tom Carroll in that final. He had Derek Ho in that final. And those guys went out there and they were absolutely attacking. They were chasing bombs and just getting blown up on the inside.
He needed a big set wave to win his heat. That would just clinch it. It was down to the last 5 or 10 minutes. We saw a set coming out the back, and I was biting my nails on the beach. It had the potential to be his dream come true. If he caught this wave, it was going to be the one. It would be the heat clincher. And sure enough, he was in the right spot. He got in right behind the peak, right in the right spot, pulling in behind the barrel, gone. I mean, completely gone. He came flying out of the barrel right after the spit. It's just the ultimate in the sport.
And then I came in on the beach and everybody came to me and Billy Stankham was like, dude, I think you just won the pipe. So I knew I was top 3. I had to be. And then I got up on the podium, but everyone was coming to me, So it's like, that's usually how you know who the winner is. The beach thought I won. And so we got on the podium and they did the results. And then they went through the 6th through 5th, 4th, 3rd. And they said Mark Occhilupo got second. And I heard everybody cheering, and I wasn't sure what they had said. And I turned to Tom Carroll on my left, and he said, "You won, mate." And that's when I knew. And the next thing I know, the girl's putting the lei over my neck, and I'm like, yeah. You know, it was just like my whole life. This is my whole life. I just won the Pipe Masters. This is my day.
That's what he lived for. That's what he dreamt for since he was groveling down there at Tamarack Jetty, tucking into a 2-foot morsel. Now he was dropping into a 12-foot barrel, showing the whole world that he could do it. It doesn't get any better than that.
He chased that one since he was probably the first time he paddled out on a surfboard, and the first time he figured out what pipeline was, and he knew that he was a tube rider and a goofy footer. He probably chased that dream from that day on.
The exhilarating energy, the crowd on the beach. He had his hands over his head with his trophy. That was it.
I just remember him saying, "Dreams come true."
He said on the winner's podium, you know, dreams do come true.
Dreams come true, man. That's all I got to say. Dreams come true.
I just remember all standing out by the scaffolding when he was winning and he got his trophy. And I just remember the rain. It started pouring down rain. And I tell you, everybody just took off running.
It was torrential, like monsoonal, just a torrential downpour. And as soon as it started, I was talking, doing interviews. That was it. Everyone, the cameras put away, everyone put everything away, and everyone left. Like literally within 1 to 2 minutes, everybody that was interested in me left. And then within another 1 to 2 minutes, a Hawaiian guy from the Hui came over and took my trophy because it was a perpetual trophy with everyone's names on it, previous champions, and I didn't get a trophy. So I got no trophy and everybody's gone. I was all alone.
It was all meant to be. And that was Joey's, the crossroads in Joey's life right there.
I lived my dream, and it seemed within 10 to 15 minutes, it was all gone. It didn't matter. I just couldn't believe that my whole life, from seeing it on TV in '73 and that first surfboard, this journey, that this was the way it would end, that I'm all alone at Pipeline by myself. It was the most empty moment of my life. And I just remember thinking, like, this is it.
Yeah. So, check. All right. So, I mean, that's from the Beyond the Dream DVD that is on the Joey Buran YouTube channel, the whole story. But, you know, that's where we get Beyond the Dream, because in 1984, when the Pipe Masters happened, that's just when VHS videos came out. And they had the Pipe Masters was a VHS video. It was one of the first VHS videos they ever did. So everyone saw the 84 Pipe Masters, like everybody. I still get people from Australia all over the world saying, "Dude, we watched the Pipe Masters video like 1,000 times till we didn't even use VHS anymore." And then 3 years later, when I shared a story about how empty it was at Pipeline after I won, that was in Sunriders, and thousands, even millions of people saw that movie worldwide, and they said, they put it together like you won the pipe, but there had to be more. So that's why the book's called Beyond the Dream, because if my life was just defined by being the Pipe Masters champion, that's not bad. If you're a pro surfer, that's not bad, right? We can all agree that's not bad. That's like a Heisman if you're a running back. A guy won the Heisman, you know, like that's not bad. And let me tell you, there's only so many people that wake up knowing they won the Pipe Masters when it's the anniversary. Rob Machado won the Pipe Masters 16 years after I did on the same day, December 17th, 2000. So we're not even that close, but you know, it's like Heisman guys. When they see each other, I see Machado, I'm like, "Yo, what's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" "How's it going, hippie dude?" He's like, "What's up, preacher boy?" You know, what I'm saying? Like, it's like a Heisman thing, you know? It's classic. But it's funny because all the time when I lived in Virginia or Vermont, I mean, let me tell you, my wife's like, "Here it comes, happy Joey Buran Day." December 15th, I'm like, "Here it comes." Then December 17th, that was once a year. You know, it didn't matter. If it's Virginia Beach, I'd get up, I'd run 3 miles going, "I'm the pipe champ," you know. It's like, you're like, what's that guy's problem, you know? I'm in Vermont, it's like 30 below. I'm like, "Joey Buran won the pipe." So December 17th was always a special day, and it's kind of silly. I laugh about it. But Matt Warshaw, a few years ago, the expert on surf history, he did a post called Joey Did Slew the Dragon. It's the 35th anniversary. And he said, you know, Joey Buran, like, love him or hate him, man, you couldn't miss him in the room. And Joey slew the dragon. You know, the dragon was Pipeline. And after he said that, the 710, that single fin you saw in the video, was a Glenn Manami board. And I never got to keep that board. It disappeared. You know, word was it was in Mundaka for years. But there's a picture of it. So the quiver shot, when you walk in, I'm holding the board, that's the Dragon Slayer. That's the 710 single fin. It's also the board I caught my biggest wave of my life at Waimea Bay. That cover shot on surfing, Don James got. Can you imagine the biggest wave of your life and someone got a picture of it from the channel? And I got a cover shot from it. So that's Dragon Slayer. I do have the jersey in the trunks. Thanks to my good friend Tony Mata. I gave him the jersey 35 years ago for Christmas. And he said, it's time for you to get it back. So thank you, Tony, for restoring my jersey. And so now, yeah, I'm on. I mean, seriously, you know, like, Joe James got my OP Pro trophy. That Christmas, I gave all my trophies to all my friends, and I tried to connect their friendship with those memories. And Mata got the jersey, and he gave it back. So now Tony had to figure out something else to give you. An ISA bronze medal? I'm just kidding. Well, Greg got that one. Greg Cruz got that one, yeah. So anyways, I put together a slideshow. It's only like 12 photos, so it's not many. But I want to talk about the Pipeline, particularly the Pipe Masters, and my involvement in it, because my first Pipe Masters, I rode a single fin, a Glenn Manami 7.3. I rode a Bertelsmann single fin in the final in 78. I rode single fins up until 85. I rode a Glenn Manami thruster in 85, where I lost in the semis, and Mark Akalupa won that year. And that's the first 15 years of the Pipe Masters. And so I have some slides just to talk about a bit of pipeline history at the Surf Museum. And I want to share a few stories that you probably don't know, and a few facts maybe you don't know. And I know you care about surfing and you love surfing. So go ahead, let's go to the slideshow here. And this first shot, that's a Jeff Devine photo of Jerry Lopez. How many of you had this poster on your wall? Anyone from the 70s? Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, all right, read the room. Okay. This was a poster on my wall. This is one of the most famous shots of all time, Jerry Lopez. This is iconic. It is probably 1973. Jeff Devine released my photos to me for free for the book, and I've got an O'Rourke photo and some Jerry Lopez photos. They didn't make it in the book. We might do a tabletop version later, and if we do, for sure, we'll make it. Fantastic shot. This was a poster. This defined the rise of Pipeline, the Pipe King, Jerry Lopez, lightning bolt, pro surfing, all of it. All the above. This is Jerry Lopez. And the story with me and Joey Lopez is, I have a few stories I'm going to tell about people associated with Pipeline. But I came from Virginia. I was at best average at Little League. I was an AAU swimmer. When you leave today, you can see a couple of my AAU swimming medals there on the counter by the register. And I realized surfing was the main thing. At Magnolia School in 6th grade, surfers were the coolest guys, and I wanted to be cool. So they were, and Greg Marshall wanted to be cool. He was my first friend, so we tried to be cool. We had wallabies, cords, bell-bottom cords. We watched Brady Bunch, and we got surfboards, okay? And this guy was our guy, and I know exactly when I knew I wanted to win the Pipe Masters. My parents, my dad being military, he had good friends. He was good friends with Colonel Mallory. They met in Guam while serving the Marine Corps during Vietnam. And the Mallories lived in San Diego like so many ex-military. Many of you are military brats. Raise your hand, military brats, real quick. I know the bars are. So you can relate to that. So we go to San Diego State football games in the early 80s. We go down on Saturdays, and we go to the Mallory's house. And I just got my first surfboard from Offshore Surf Shop and Barbie and all. And I had the ugliest style ever. I was king of the whitewater. I had the ugliest style, okay? So I really had a bad style, and it didn't get much better, but I compensated in every other department. But we were down at the Mallory's house going to San Diego State game on a Saturday, and this was on ABC Wide World of Sports, Saturday afternoon. And I watched Jerry Lopez win what would have been the second Pipe Masters. Jeff Hackman won the first one. He won it, and I saw it on TV, and I was mesmerized at the Mallory's house, and my mom was there, and as soon as Jerry Lopez won it, I turned to my mom, and she remembered, I said, I'm going to win that contest. I'm going to win that contest. And, I mean, I look back, okay, I'm born in Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to California when I was 12. And I don't know why, other than that God put it in my heart, because I don't know. I knew I was going to win this contest, and this was my hero. I had to be like Jerry Lopez. All of us had to be like Jerry Lopez, but I had to win the Pipe Masters. And like David said in the movie, being a goofy foot, I look for a tube at Tamarack, which is very hard to find, by the way. But it was always Jerry. I was always Jerry Lopez. When Spot got big in front of the parking lot, and I was scared. I was like, Joey Buran, Pipeline Masters with Jerry Lopez, and literally, like, that was my mind. And you guys that know me know that would be my mind. Okay, so that's how it was. So Jerry, his influence on me from top to bottom was amazing. So that first Pipe Masters I got invited to, the invitation is there in the frame photo on the counter. It came from Randy Rarick. I had gotten a couple ninths on the IPS tour. I'd won the California Pro here where the check bounced, but I beat Roar, pro surfing in the 70s. And the check bounced, but I beat Bertelman and Rory and these guys. I got really lucky. I shouldn't have been in the final. Bobby Owens stood up after the heat. They disqualified him. I was second. I got in the final. But like true Joey Buran, I took advantage of it, won the final. And O'Rourke told me, made sure I understood he would have beat me like a drum if he wasn't going through chemotherapy. He got third, and he would have, for sure, because he was my other hero. His pictures were all over my wall. But I got invited to the Pipe Masters. And that first Pipe Masters, it was Jerry Lopez, all those guys. And here's a story about that first heat. This is important because people don't know this. Of course, I was super nervous. I was staying with Billy Stang. We were staying at the old apartments by Velsleyland, those really run down with the rats apartments. And we were staying there. I was sleeping on a couch. And 36 surfers were invited, and Randy Rarick told me, hey, Joey, a lot of pros are upset I gave you this invitation. I was the youngest surfer ever invited to the Pipeline Masters at that time. And along with John, I'm the only other, and Aki, I'm the only other 17-year-old ever to be in a Pipe Masters final. Aki, John, and myself. So 3 future Pipe champs at 17 made finals. But I was the first one. And that day they held the prelims, because back then it was 6 heats of 6, top 3 advanced, almost like NSSA Explorer Division. Then 3 heats of 6. First, each heat goes to the final. Second and third go to 6-man repecharge. That's how they did it. Well, in the first heat, I'm like, okay, let's be smart. It's top 3 waves. I can get 3 barrels. I'm not going to get 3 big barrels, but I can get 3 barrels. So I got 3 barrels, the best waves I ever got in my life. They weren't big waves at all. They're little corners, the shifty peak. Well, Michael Ho was in that heat, and Jim Banks was in that heat. Jim Banks is a phenomenal goofy foot barrel rider from Australia. And I'm like, the heat, like MR, like I was, like the yellow jersey, green jersey, like the lowest color jersey, that was me, okay? But what happened is Jim Banks, everything went wrong in that heat. And I noticed he's having a bad heat. So I kind of like a football game, like field goal, field goal, field goal. And next thing I know, I came in and I advanced. And Billy says, like, Joey, you made 3 heat in the Pipe Masters. Joey. Because Billy was a pipe guy and he's from Carlsbad. So then the next heat I have Roy Russell. And I paddle out, and Dan Merkel, the best surf photographer in the world at that time, is in the water. I paddle out in the channel, and we all love a challenge. When someone says you can't do it, that's when you want to prove you can do it. It's human nature. It's psychology. There's all kinds of studies that prove this. Dan Merkel says to me, what a joke. I can't believe you made it through your heat. I was like, oh. Seabad. What? And then Roy Russell, when I beat him at Oceanside, I was like, I'm going to kill you at Pipe. I'm going to die out there. He always told me, you're going to die out there. I'm like, oh, Roy Russell. He's like, hey, you're going to die out there. Roy was like this, hey, you're going to die out there. Okay? So anyways, Roy's in the heat. Well, Roy took off before the heat, and no one had leashes. So he took off before the heat started. And he got clipped, and he lost his board. He wasn't even in the heat for 15 minutes. And I'm like, I'm going to prove Dan Merkel wrong. I'm taking advantage of this. I don't know what happened, but I caught like about an 8-foot barrel, the best barrel of my life. And I'm like, I can do this. Like Dumbo and the feather. I headed right to Main Peak, and I caught the wave of my life like Jackie Dunn from behind the peak. I got spit out of that thing. The whole beach went ballistic. And I was like, I'm a Pipe Master. And I couldn't even believe it. It was like I was living a dream. It was surreal. The water was super blue that day. And I beat Roy. I came in, and Billy Sting's like, you beat Roy Russell, you beat Roy Russell. And then they announced I won the heat. And Billy was like shaking me, going, dude, you're in the finals. You're in the finals of the Pipe Masters. And I was. But they didn't hold the final for 2 weeks. So now, next shot. I had 2 weeks to sit around and think about what could go wrong in a Pipe Masters final. You know, that's if it happened that day. And I made a couple of big mistakes on this day. I rode the Bertelsmann board. I was friends with Larry Bertelsmann, and I had too small of a fin that couldn't hold in the barrels. It was on ABC Wide World of Sports, and they gave us these shorts, so we all got these trunks. I can tell you, for 2 weeks, I never took mine off. I never took them off. You know, your status on the North Shore goes from like this to this when you make a pipe final. Plus, I got my hair cut, so I wasn't quite the full Howley I was before that. So, I mean, I go to Cammyland, because this is before Foodland. Guys like, oh, Joey, good job with the pipe, huh? The guys like, you know, they always burn you, whatever. Like, oh, Joey, good job with the pipe, bro. I'm like, oh. Right? My whole world changed. My whole world changed. Slept in those trunks. Billy Stang and I pull up the Kenui Road on the day of the finals. We pull up right there by the house where it's now the Volcom House. We pull in right there, so Cam Highway's here, Pipeline's here back. We pull up. This car has Roy Russell in it. And I'm like, Billy, why here? And it's Rory. And he's in the finals because he made the finals to the repechage. I get out of the car, and he gets out of the car. He's like, hey, you're going to die out there today. I was like, oh. He got me. And then the helicopter for ABC's flying around, and I'm there with Dane. I knew Dane. I'm like, oh, Dane, what do we do? He's like, shut up, don't talk to me. You know? and I'm all alone. It's me. And there, that was the Lopez house. Out of Lopez house, we're all there. It's Dane, Hans, myself, and Larry Blair, the Australian rookie. We're all there waiting. And it's like, here, this is the zenith of Lightning Bolt. Out of the Lightning Bolt house, here they come. Jerry, the king, and Rory, the prince. And I was like, oh, God. They were about 70 yards away because the podium was more toward back door that year. And every step they're walking, and Jerry's like this with his lightning bolt. And Roy's like, hey, you can die out there. And I just remember thinking, I want to inspire all of you right here. That moment, I just like, there's only two choices here. Roll over and die or go right at it. Go right at it and just go right at it. You watched Jerry Lopez and Roy Russell at La Paloma for years. You dreamed of this moment. Embrace this moment and go after it. So even though my fin couldn't hold, you know what it's like to be in big waves when your fin doesn't hold? We all know that feeling. I was in the pipe finals on national TV, and my fin couldn't hold. But it held just enough that I didn't get last place. I was so happy Dan Kalo got last place. I was like, Dan, you got last. He's like, shut up, you know. But I was so happy I didn't get last. Lopez got fourth. So I surfed in a Pipe Masters final at 17 with the great Jerry Lopez. That's one of my favorite, top 5 experiences of my life. Jerry Lopez, my hero. It just, so they did a pipe event here, a pipe exhibit about 6 years ago, and I came down. I got here a little late, but Fred Hemmings, Jerry, and Roy, they're in chairs right here. I ran in like classic Jerry, like, hey, everybody. And I'm like, oh, Rory, dog. It's like, hey, Joey. Like, I kissed him on the forehead. He's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And I go down the line, and I see Jerry Lopez, and he's like, don't you dare kiss me. I was like, oh, hey, Jerry, how's it? But it all started in 78 in that final. Now, the next shot is 80. I'm going to go a little quicker now because that's the main story. The next photo. This is an Aaron Chang photo. This was taken during the finals of 1980. This changed my destiny on the North Shore because I rode a Brian Buckley 7.3 single fin. Brian Buckley was the outstanding surfer of the Pipe Underground. He charged the biggest waves. He's super gnarly. He got the best waves and the deepest peak, and nobody messed with Brian Buckley. So he made me a board. So those underground guys, they didn't really like me too much they had lots of company with that. But the only way to get waves in Hawaii is to push the envelope and hopefully not get beat up. So I pushed as hard as I could. I never got beat up, but I certainly deserved to. So when Buckley made me this board, those guys begrudgingly kind of embraced me and cheered me on. And I made the finals. What was special about this day is they had a repechage before the final. That repechage was Dane Kealoha, Marvin Foster, Tom Carroll, defending champ Larry Blair, and then Dougal Walker was in it. So Marvin, Tom, Larry, it was such a gnarly heat. And Dane. Top 3 go. And one of the things about my career at Pipeline, a lot of these heats were 6-man heats. And they really favored me because I could get 3 barrels of Pipeline in a 6-man heat no matter what. Like, I could avoid disaster because in a 6-man heat, 2 people have a great heat, 2 people have a really bad heat, and 2 people fight for third. And I could always find 3 barrels of Pipeline with no priority rule in a 6-man heat. I could find those barrels. So the 6-man format favored me. Like the final I won was 6-man heat with no interference rule. You know, I I can just strong arm Carol and Derek and those guys, and it's not the hui, it's nothing, it's no priority, it's a free for all out there, and you just go for it. So this was a big final for me. I finished fourth. I let the wave of the final go because Simon had the inside on me. It was a rare good left. It was mostly backdoor that day. Simon had inside, and he called me off, and then he winked on MR. MR took it, and MR won the Pipe Masters on a single fin that year. But I learned, hey, don't ever double clutch a pipe in the Jersey. And I double clutch. But still, I got the cover shot, and that's 1980 Pipe Finals, and I made the finals. So that was my second final in 2 years. Next slide. So the way you get good at pipeline is to surf big days when no one else is out there. I don't know if they do that now, but that's how we did it in my day. This is a Jeff Devine photo. I surfed a lot of huge days of pipeline by myself. Often Daniel Kayema, the bodyboarder, Mike Stewart, the bodyboarder, they'd often be out there. Marvin Foster surfed a lot of those days. So Marvin and I were very close because he surfed these days as well. Sometimes Buckley and the underground guys, Bruce Hansel, they'd be out there. But the heavyweights, the guys that got all the ways they wanted, like Michael Ho, Dan Kiloa, Derek, they wouldn't surf these days. So we would be out there for 45 minutes dodging second reef northwest sets, and then we'd look for this clean set out of the west, or maybe one or two of them, and you got to get it. Alan Krasko and I went out there on a giant day. It's just me and him, and he understood. You dodge bad, ugly waves for 30 minutes, and you find the two good ones when they come, and you got to be ready for them when they come. And that's the kind of day this was. So when I won the Pipe Masters, you could see from the video, the surf it wasn't clean, pristine pipe. It was dangerous, and it was a free-for-all, washout sets. So this is the type of training I had for years, because this is how Joey Buran could get good waves of pipe, surfing the difficult days and looking for the gold nugget in the midst of all the chaos. When pipe was firing, I mean, I was like third string or fourth string. And here's how it went in the pecking order pipeline. Dane, Michael, Derek, Hans, the Hawaiian tour guys always got every way they wanted. It's like a basketball court in Harlem. The top guys, right? Schoolyard hoop. Those guys, when they show up, they got the court. The next tier was like the underground guys. Bruce Hansel, Chris Lundy, Chris Owens, Bobby Owens' brother. Those guys, a lot of those guys went right, so that worked well for me. I never went right because those guys would split peaks with me. We had the wink. They go right, I go left. So we had that's how you got to take what you can get. So I never went right. I never did good at anything that was backdoor. I was terrified of it, and the only way I could get waves was to split peaks with guys who would go right. And so these were the days, and that underground was the second tier. Then the pro tour guys were like third tier, so like Tom Carroll, Sean Thompson, Rabbit. We were like third string in the pecking order. And then everyone else that's really good, like DB, Billy Stank, Pat Mulhern, other top guys, Shane Horan, that were trying to figure their way out of pipeline, they're like fourth string. So there's only so many good waves, so what you'd have to do is time to go out there. Like, if Derek and Dane paddle out at the same time, it's like, there goes everything. Like, that's it. I'm going to go get breakfast. And I'm going to show up when they come in. So there was a pecking order, and you paid your dues. Plus, there was another group of people, the black shorts. All those Hawaiian locals like Mickey Nielsen, Phil Perry, and those guys, they would wear the black shorts, the hui shorts. And you knew, don't ever mess with those guys. I tell my friends, don't look at them. And whatever you do, don't mess up their wave. These guys are for real, man. They live here. Do not mess. So, and those guys, those second tier hui guys, they always wore the black shorts. So people knew, don't mess with me. So that's what it was like in the 80s. You had to beat the tour, you had to beat Dane and Michael and Derek, and you had to beat the underground, and you had to beat the hui. So you had to paddle on days like this to get experience. Next slide. This is where it all went wrong in 1981. This was a semifinal. It's not in the book. I thought for sure I was going to win this year. I'd surfed really well in the early rounds. There was only 2 semifinals in the final. It was going to be for TV. Simon was in the heat. This is the year Simon Anderson won on the thruster. Chris Barella, my rival, beat me in this heat. My WSA rival made the finals. It was crazy, but this is the year that Buttons, the whole interference thing with the 7-man final, this is that same year. So I paddled out. It was a hard crosswind. It was super dangerous. You couldn't see the drops. Before we paddled out, I was on the beach with Simon Anderson. I'm on the beach with Simon Anderson, and we're standing there. They're clearing the water, and we've got our jerseys on, and we're watching to get these guys out of the water. And there's a guy from Kailua. I can't remember his name. East Side guy. Good pipe surfer. Goofy foot. We saw him take off and just get detonated. I mean, detonated. He came up screaming. Just screaming at the highest level of pain. He had broken his femur. And this is before the lifeguards are always there like they are now. Like, this is just, like, it's the Wild West, So he's floating in, and a couple guys trying to help him, and he washes in right where me and Simon are. Like literally, and Simon's like 6'4", and he he always beat me. He didn't have much interaction with me. He's like, that's how I saw Joey Buran, right? And we're standing there, and this guy, he's like, and he's screaming, he's crying, and these guys help him out, they pull him away, and the water's clear, and me and Simon look at each other, and he's just like, and we paddled out. I paddled out for this heat, watching a guy break his leg before this wave, crying for mommy. So it kind of put me a little on the defensive, when heat first started. And I couldn't get going in this heat, and then I caught this wave, and Alan Byrne dropped in on me. That's Alan Byrne. They didn't call the interference. He made the finals and got second. So that was a tough one. But when you're Joey Buran, you can't expect any breaks from the judges on the North Shore in 1982 or 1981. They're not going to call that one. I saw double the rest of the heat. I never saw straight. I believe I was concussed. I had double vision the rest of the heat. I still caught 3 waves, got 4th, but then I got bumped to 5th when they put buttons from last through the heat when they overruled the interference, which is too long to explain. But this was a nightmare. I never made a heat in the Pipe Masters again until the day I won the Pipe Masters. Because after this, the next year it was at backdoor, and I lost first heat. The next year I couldn't surf in it because the boycott, the ASP IPS boycott, so the top 16 couldn't surf in it. So I watched Dane win it in small surf at backdoor. He crushed it. He deserved to win. So this is my last experience in a Pipe Master before I woke up on December 17th on the day of days. And I had to beat Alan Byrne in the semis of the Pipe Masters the year I won. Okay, next photo. This is winning the Pipe Masters, the best shot from the day that I won. That's an Aaron Chang photo. You could put your minivan in there, moms. So it's a Macker. The thing about Dragon Slayer is this, you see the fin on this board is like, it's Jaws. And the first wave of the day, I took off on a big barrel, and I was on top of the foam ball, and it held. The wave exploded on me. It closed out. I popped out the back. No harm, no foul. I never fell again. But I knew this board could handle anything. I put it through that day that I won the Pipe Masters. I won the Pipe Masters on a 710 single fin with a fin like Jaws. So that really links me to the 70s more than the 80s. And I was the last surfer to win the Pipe Masters on a single fin. Side note, I was in a blue jersey in the 78 final, 80 final, and 84 final. I was blue jersey, all 3 Pipe finals I was in. Next shot. So this photo, you saw the video of winning. This photo is in a Japanese magazine. It was one of my favorite photos from winning. That's the trophy they took, the perpetual trophy. It was like, I think it was junior year. It was like, bro, Joey, get back the trophy, huh? Like that. It's my trophy. You know like when you win the Pipe Masters, like winning a WSA contest, you want your trophy. Like, I want to go home and show my friends my trophy, He's like, bro, give him back. Now, give him back. So that's the trophy they took back. Randy Rarick told me the trophy disappeared. It just was lost in time. Someone's garage, like Dragon Slayer. And as you get older, you younger people, let me tell you, a lot of things disappear, all right? That's okay. So I was looking at this photo to use for the cover shot of the book. I tracked down the guy. I was never able to get a response. But that's one of my favorite photos from winning the Pipe Masters, because now I really realize I did win, and it's just that moment with the trophy about 3 minutes before the rain. Okay, next photo. This is Pipeline 1999 Pipe Trials. This is Aaron Chang took this shot. So after being gone from surfing for 10 years in Vista, Virginia, and Vermont, I came back. We went through so much with my personal family and my mother-in-law dealing with terminal cancer. Just so many things. I went to work for Surf Fry with the Bernard brothers down the street, which was an awesome experience, in Sean Madison. But in the midst of that, they brought back the ASP World Masters. I went down to Porto. David Barr was with me. I won the event. So Randy Rarick said, "You want to do the Pipe Masters?" And I said, "Sure, let's do it." So I did the 98 Masters. I lost to Bruce Irons and Pancho Sullivan in the quarters, and so I got an automatic invite back. This is the next year. This heat, I surfed with Derek Ho. Derek Ho was in this heat, and Freddie Pataccia, when Pataccia was top 5 in the world, I won the heat. It was crazy. I remember this barrel, Freddie Pataccia, he was top 5 in the world. I beat him in Argentina, and all the guys gave him a hard time because he lost to the old guy, Joey Buran. And I got this barrel, and I'm just driving this barrel, and there's Freddie Pataccia, paddling out, going like this, that's great. I'm 2-0 against Freddie P. And again, I beat Derek. I never lost to Derek. I was like 9-0 against Derek. So this is my last great moment. The next heat in the semis with Bruce Irons, I got pitched. My board broke, and that was the end of all my pipe dreams. It really rattled me getting pitched like that. I came back the next year, and I surfed my last pipe masters in 2000, which means I surfed the pipe in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even 2000, which is pretty special. Michael Ho would be on that list as well. So I kind of take pride in that. But before you get too stoked, I did get dead last in 2000. So, but here's the coolest story about dead last. So it was good pipe. I'm in the channel. My daughter Hannah was in 5th grade. She came with me that year, and I was like, oh, I want to show off for Hannah. It's because it's all old magazines. I want to show her dad's relevant now. The wind turned hard on shore right before my heat. It literally turned hard on shore, and it went to maneuvers, and I just did what I do like at State Beach on an onshore. I just pulled into all these closeout barrels. I didn't come out of any of them. And I came in, I knew I was dead last. I'm like, well, that's the end of that, right? So I come up on the beach, and I go, oh, Hannah. She's like, that's okay, Daddy. I'm like, Hannah, I'm really sorry I got last place in the pipe master. She goes, that's okay, Daddy. And then she goes, can we still go to Hanama Bay? I was like, what? Let's get shave ice and Haleiwa too, huh? Shave ice to Hanama Bay, chasing those hulu fish around. It's like it didn't even matter anymore, right? And that's what happens beyond the dream. What meant so much, once you got kids or grandkids and different goals and different visions, it's okay. But I always remember Hannah's like, it's okay, Dad. Can we still go to Hanama Bay? Or this one, right? That one. There you go. Okay, and we got a couple more real quick. That's me and Tom Curran. This is in 1997. I went up to Surf Hollister Ranch with Curran one day through our good friend Ricky Ryan. Of course, he smoked me at rights and lefts. And we're driving back in the car. He's in the back seat here. I'm in the back seat here. The boards are between us. And I look over the board and go, hey, Tom. Because if you know Tom Curran, it's Tom Curran's story. I go, hey, Tom, do you ever just wake up and look in the mirror and say, like, I'm the greatest? And so the boards are here. He goes, no. And I'm like, well, you should have. This is me and Tom. It's always like that with me and Tom. So it's quiet. About 30 seconds later, he goes, hey, but you won the Pipe Masters. That's right. Don't you forget it. Next photo. Coaching Team USA, there's Sean Madison, my good friend, first person I ever coached. He got me the job at Surf Friday when I came back from Vermont. There's Nat Young. Luke Davis is right there. I think that's Courtney. We got a copper medal in this event, top 4. We're getting smoked by Brazilian Storm before we knew what Brazilian Storm was. You didn't know Miguel Pupo back then, Gabriel Medina. I knew him because we had really good surfers, and we couldn't beat those guys. The ISA World Juniors is always reflective of what to expect in 5 years. So if you check their results, you can see where it's going to go on tour. It's a pleasure coaching Nat Young, one of my favorite surfers to coach. Of the surfers I asked for an endorsement for the book, he's the one that actually took a look at it and endorsed it. So thank you, Nat Young. That was a special moment. I've been sick for 3 days. Sean Madison, I went in the hospital 3 days. We were in 10th place. I came out. We were in 4th place. We got a medal. Thank you, Sean Madison. Next photo. I didn't coach for a while. I was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2009. Here's a couple of my kids. Leah, there's Hannah, older now. Timmy, the Dean family, the girls over there. And there's Jacob Bradley, my son-in-law. This was a highlight of my career. What made this day very special is Bruce Brown from End of Summer was inducted in the Hall of Fame, same class as mine. Right? So, Bruce Brown, End of Summer, I was like, Bruce Brown, oh, Bruce Brown, oh. And Jeff Hackman, Mr. Sunset. I was like, Jeff Hackman, Mr. Sunset. He's like, what's your problem, dude? I was like, dude, you're Jeff Hackman, not Fulham Theater, man. 5 summer stories, going surfing. I was like, Bruce Brown. I was like, Bruce Brown. I was like, like when you try and touch someone, I was like, oh, Bruce Brown, End of Summer, man. It was pretty cool. So highlights, very special. For the record, I've recommended some surfers to be inducted to the Hall of Fame to them, including my good friend David Barr and Mike Purpose and Chris O'Rourke. I don't get to make those decisions, but I feel like those guys are all capable of being in the Hall of Fame. Next photo, we just got a couple more. I think, yeah, this is my last one. You all know who that is right there, huh? There's Katie. There's Katie Simmers, #1 in the world. Yeah, there she is. She's about 12 years old. So Greg Cruz and I, we're always trying to recruit people to go to the World Games in non-Olympic years. The pros are like, I don't get paid. It's 10 days. I don't want to do it. The wife doesn't want me to do it. So we end up putting together these different types of teams. So we approached all these top girls, and everyone's like, no, 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 no. So Summer Macedo said she'd do it, and Zoe McDougall. So we're super stoked. But we need a third girl, and we're like, hey, why not take her? She's the best 12-year-old we've ever seen. Brandon Cruz, my assistant coach, and I were at South Jetty one day training in 2018, and she's on the developmental team, and she's clicking the fins out. And I was like, hey, is it my imagination, or is like, she really, really good? I'm thinking she's really good. And Brandon's like, yeah, she's really good. So a year later, she's at the World Games. She made top 10. This is where I show what a great coach I was. She had a heat with Sally Fitzgibbons, her first heat. And she said, oh, Coach Joey, what do I do? It's like Little League, right? When they're 12 years old, it's like Little League, like AYSO soccer. Where do I kick the ball? You know, it's like, Coach Joey, what do I do? I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Listen carefully. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything Sally Fitzgibbons does. I like, so when she sits on the beach, we're going to sit 30 yards this way from her. When she paddles out, you paddle out. Because there's like 8 to 10 foot beach break. I'm like, she's going to know where to paddle out. Why reinvent the wheel? She knows more than all of us right now. She's top 5 in the world. So we watch her. When she paddles out, you paddle out. Go get next to her. Go to where she goes. There'll be at least 2 good waves there, and you'll get through the heat. Exactly what happened. You know what she said to me at dinner? It was exactly like you said. That's good coaching, man. That's good coaching right there. Hey, you know, Sally Fitzgibbons knows what she's doing. I'm just thinking do whatever Sally does, and you'll be fine. So there she is. She gave me an endorsement on the book. I'll close with this for the night. On a coaching level, I was in France with Greg Cruz, and we bought Rice Krispies at the grocery store, and I was trying to get through to Crosby Colapinto. Like every kid has a code when you coach. Doesn't matter what sport it is, baseball, soccer, swimming, every kid has a code, and you got to find the code. And I'm trying to find Crosby Colapinto's code. I had a great code with Alyssa Spencer, Cole Hauschman. They were there, great team. But we had Rice Krispies. And I was trying to simplify things because, you know, the simpler you make things in coaching, the better it is for everybody. You know, it's effective athletes get things done. You don't need a big playbook, just really good athletes to execute the current playbook. So I'm looking at Snap, Crackle, Pop. I'm thinking, hey, there it is. Snap, Crackle, Pop. Like Rice Krispies. First turn, big commitment. Crackle is clean flow. And Pop is your last turn. It's always about 2 turns. Eric Kramer, the great coach, said, Joey, it's always about 2 turns. We talk about the 2-turn combo for a 9 on the WSL. So it was Snap, Crackle, Pop. Any kid could follow Snap, Crackle, Pop, including a 12-year-old from Oceanside. So when we asked her for an endorsement for the book, she's like, oh, Coach Joey is always like, Snap, Crackle, Pop. Hey, you're out there in the heat of battle in the World Games, you know, against Bianca Butendow, whatever, and Sally Fitzgibbons. Like, what do I do? Snap, Crackle, Pop. You don't get lost. First turn commitment, clean like Russian ballet, pop that last turn and give the judge something to go like, wow. See, you keep it simple. So I close with this thought because we have all generations here in all the seasons of life. Spring is 0 to 20, 21 to 40 is summer. Autumn is 40 to 60. Yeah, you just heard of profanity. I'm just scouting the future. I'm just telling you the way it is. I reverse engineer everything. And 60 plus is winter. I'm in winter, and that's okay. I'm in winter, that's okay, and I'm going to thrive in winter. And I have a saying, the rest of your life, the best of your life. And I always want to inspire people. I always say, always forward. There's new adventures, new things to do. When I retired from coaching, I focused on dancing because that's something I get better at, have fun with. It's a lot of fun, keeps me in shape. I focused on investing and learning about money and getting better with money because that matters when you're 60 in case you didn't get the memo. So I did stuff like that. Focused on my grandkids, the rest of your life, the best of your life. And I just want to encourage everyone here that there's always a future and a hope. And there's always, you know, of course I'm a man of faith. And everyone knows I'm with Jesus and I'm a pastor for 37 years. And you know that. And I just want people to know that, like, God's thoughts for us are a future and a hope. And I've been through some really hard times. You know, I've held my dead son in my arms. I've helped the mortuary take my dead mother-in-law's body out of the house with everyone weeping. I watched my mom give up the ghost. I've been in a lot of heavy situations in ministry, very heavy situations. But I know that in my faith, I find that God, it goes deeper than my deepest valley, and it goes higher than my greatest victories. So I know that I can trust him for everything. All things work together for good. So it's like the rest of my life, the best of my life. And I want to go from glory to glory. I want to get better. I want new adventures. I want new challenges. Like, see, here's the thing. You can do more and you can have more because you can become more. You can become more. Personal development is something we can all do. You can become more. And I don't want to do more just to be a busy bee. And I want to have more just so I can leave it behind because you do. But I want to become more. And what I've learned in all the seasons of my life, in the dream, beyond the dream, it's not the prize so much that you attain, but who you become as you go toward that destination. So I encourage all of you, the rest of your life is the best of your life if you choose to be. And I don't accept the end of the world from anybody. I tell people, you'll know when it's the apocalypse, okay? Until then, live your life. Enjoy the journey. Love on people. Forgive people. Be gracious. Be merciful. And shine. Smile. Build people up. Speak life. And live your life because it goes by so fast. And can I speak for everyone over 60? How did we get here so quick? I mean, I know we had Led Zeppelin, all Santana, all, I mean, we had it the way, they're jealous of us, these people, these younger people. But I'm telling you, trust me, you get to 60 like that. How did it happen? Because that's how time works. So God bless you all. Thank you for coming out. I'll be happy to sign books the rest of the night. And be encouraged. Always forward with Joey Buran. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you, Joey. One more round of applause for Joey Buran.